Hi, I'm Whitney Rye, and I'm about to go into the basement of this building behind me, Spalding Hall, that houses one of the largest pre-prohibition bourbon collections in the country. But I'm going to be interviewing a legend, Bill Samuels Jr. of Maker's Mark. He is the former president, a Hall of Fame inductee, and the current master storyteller of that brand. So tune in, and you're going to hear all of his stories about how the Bourbon Trail started, how his mom, Margie Samuels, also became a legend in her own right, and how his dad took a hobby and turned it into a brand that is worldwide. Stay tuned. Hi y'all, I'm Whitney Rye with Mashville Podcast, and today we obviously have a very special guest with us, Mr. Bill Samuels Jr. of Maker's Mark. So Bill, what do you still do at the distillery? What's your role out there?
Well, I have zero responsibility. I am kind of a food checker.
Nice.
Go to the restaurant, bring important friends,
Okay.
and just listen to them ooh and ah about how wonderful the place is, how wonderful the cocktails are, and lunch. And then I have to poke myself and realize I didn't have anything to do with any of it. But I really enjoy going down, and it's been a joy. I've been retired 14 years. And happiness is still being able to go to the distillery and interact with the people. It's a wonderful bunch.
Well, that's awesome. I love that you still engage with the distillery. Obviously, your son Rob is the current president of Maker's Mark. So he has all that responsibility you don't have anymore, right?
Yeah, and I really never thought I would enjoy shedding it because I'm a little bit of a control person. Mm-hmm. But I did.
Yeah.
And he was nice enough to understand I'm too hyped to sit still. Mm-hmm. So he gave me an office in Louisville. I really end up entertaining a lot of the people that he's not able to.
Okay. Like me.
Yes, absolutely. The business was kind of built on personal relationships. And as it got bigger and bigger than Kentucky, which was our sole market for years, it's a little hard to manage if you're trying to run a business also. So,
right.
So I kind of take a lot of that on.
Nice.
And enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it particularly because everybody loves the place. Mm-hmm. Love the whiskey.
It's hard not to.
So I don't have to do many apologies.
Well, and if you do, you have some pretty good bourbon to apologize with. So
Yep.
that makes it a little bit easier. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. So 1953, your father and mother, Bill Samuels Sr. and Margie Samuels, decided that they wanted to open a distillery. So what was that like from your perspective?
Well, that was the second. The first must was to get him out of the house.
Yeah.
So what did he want to do? He didn't want to work. He didn't really have to work. He'd been out of the Navy a couple of years. Mm-hmm. He was in an ammunition depot, so when the war ended, they had to clean the depot up, which meant he had an extra couple of years at the ammunition place. So when he got back, he kind of decided he was going to run the farm like he had before.
And this was Star Hill Farms, correct?
This was Star Hill Farms, which really wasn't much of a farm. And Mom she run it during the war. She said, there's not much to this. And so he was getting in the way from day one. And so after a while, she just insisted that he go get a job.
Yeah.
And he didn't want a job, so he hemmed and hawed and delayed and had excuses and stuff. And then the pivotal moment, it really could be said to be the spur that began the bourbon revolution, was when she ran him out of the house.
Yeah.
And said, I don't care if you get a job, but you're going to get out of the house every day at 8 o'clock. And he went, and a friend of his owned a transfer company where Mammy sits down. Mm-hmm. And if you go in the front door, Mammy's not the back door, there's some steps that go. That's where his first office was. That was the first Maker's Mark office. And it was before it was Maker's Mark. It was called the Old Samuels Distillery then. All he had were the papers. He didn't even have a distillery. And Mom's she was the instigator to create the action, and she owned 50% of the little hobby, which was capitalized at maybe $100,000. It wasn't much. It's really amazing where it has come from.
Yeah.
And there's a number of people who have contributed mightily. I like to say my years were the toughest because nobody cared about bourbon.
Absolutely.
But then again, we didn't have any competition.
Yeah. Except like vodka, gin, other spirits.
Well, actually, what I have always measured bourbon success against market-wise, first it was repositioning. Bourbon had to be repositioned out of the bottle.
Right.
And that's where it was in the 50s and 60s. The second thing is how we're doing against beer and wine, because that goes to the volumes. And today, I can say that the bourbon's doing pretty good. We've taken share for both beer and wine for each of the last 25 years.
That's amazing.
It is absolutely remarkable. You got to remember, bourbon was the spirit of the West. The West was Daniel Boone. It wasn't kings and queens.
Right.
And so, to feed the market, people weren't looking for sissy whiskey. They wanted the real stuff. And the real stuff burned and hurt and sometimes kills you.
Right.
And that's kind of how we got started. And it was a long time. And I think Mom and Dad contributed to the transformation of bourbon's image more than anybody.
Yeah.
Because they went first. And they weren't trying to build a business. They were trying to build a hobby.
Yeah.
And so their personalities and their value systems really just wrapped all around.
Yeah.
You know, I always said I was kind of an odd guy out growing up at home because I wasn't near as good a student as Mom wanted. So I always kind of said, well, hell, this bottle of whiskey, that's their baby.
Yeah.
It can't talk back.
Yeah. And I'm sure that was tough, growing up in that environment, just having so much going on, opening a new business. Obviously, that's something that I'm experiencing now. I've got 3 kids. So they feel the pain of it as well. I have a 16-year-old that jumps in every now and then, like he is today, to help me out. But yeah, so what was your experience like as they were going through that process and trying to open everything up and get it going?
Well, I kind of tagged along, but I wasn't paying any attention to the hobby. Jim Beam was really the first one that got me focused on career at a really young age. And I was with him a lot when I was a kid. And that's what we talked about. What are you going to do to grow up? And the idea of being in the whiskey business, of course, at that time, we weren't in the business. We'd gotten out and hadn't gotten back in after the T.W. Samuels company sold. So, the stuff I liked was construction, engineering, mathematics, science, and so I liked basketball as a kid. Played a lot of basketball right here.
Yeah.
This was the locker, where we are right now, the locker room for the gym. St. Joe's Gym, which was right up there.
Right.
And but I didn't pay much attention. I was kind of with him at a lot of the right moments. I was with him when he wrote the $35,000 check to buy the property. I was not here the first day of production, but I was here the summer before production started in '53. Working around, getting in the way.
Yeah.
Mowing grass, what there was of it, and then I went off to college and never really thought about it. And it was while I was in college that Maker's Mark was launched. It was the whisper that was not heard around the world.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it was hardly heard in Kentucky. And my dad, we didn't have any money to do any marketing, but he didn't really like the idea of getting up people's face and trying to sell stuff.
Yeah.
So it was going to grow naturally. by word of mouth or it was going to die, one or the other. And so it was in kind of poised position for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
A few of our local industries caught on to it. The thoroughbred industry and the road construction industry.
Okay.
And those two really spread it around Kentucky. And that was our only market. I got out of school in 67 after trying to be a world-class aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
Didn't work out too good. And then went to law school, was going to work in the patent office, or did work in the patent office, was going to be a patent attorney, and a terrific job offer. And another one of these legendary distillers got in the way and told me, no, you're going to go home.
Yeah.
You're going to spend 1 year with your dad and try to do for Kentucky whiskey what my family did for Tennessee whiskey. And that fellow was Hap Lotlow,
Okay.
who was Lem Lotlow's son, who was Jack Daniels' great nephew. And when I was in law school at Vandy, he was the chairman of the board of Jack Daniels. And wow, I went to a lot of their meetings, and he took me to dinner to Jimmy Kelly's every other Friday night for 3 years, spent a fortune on me. And then I told him I accepted a job as a patent attorney at the Bendix Corporation in South Bend. He said, you're going to have to turn it down. Best advice I ever got, but it didn't seem that way at the moment.
Right.
And I never realized how much fun Dad was working for when we were kind of equals. You know, when I was a kid, I was mowing the grass and kind of getting in the way. I wasn't thinking much about anything. But the minute I came, he said, okay, I don't need any help making whiskey. So why don't you go try to find us some customers?
Yep.
Which is really the reason that I never, even though I've got 2 engineering degrees, I was never a master distiller and could never have qualified really. So I was on the road and working with an agency that he finally let me hire so we could figure out what we needed to do. And never got loose of that. And when he retired in 75, I became president. I got to keep the bathroom and the checkbook. And did that for 37 years. And then Rob ran me out.
Yeah.
Then he got feeling sorry for me. He gave me a little office in Louisville, which I love. And here I am today,
Yeah.
85 years old, still on the top side.
Yeah. So you talked earlier about how you did the hard part, right? You came into the industry whenever it was.
No, it seemed hard because I was having to do it.
Right.
But looking back, the important hard part that was done was taking that initial risk
Yeah.
to do something, spend money that nobody was interested. There wasn't one single human on the face of the earth looking for a better tasting bourbon
Yeah.
in 1953. That was the crazy part. But I think what made it possible for them, so they didn't go batshit, was that it was a hobby, and they were going to put. I think they said we'll put as much as $500,000 in it, and all of that was in inventory.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. And fortunately, as soon as the whiskey matured to 6 years, they were able to find enough customers, mainly in the Lexington area. Lexington and Bardstown wasn't big enough to support us, but we had a lot of friends here.
Yeah.
Of course, this is home. And that's kind of the way it was. Then Louisville picked up. And it looked like we were gonna start, crest, and eventually fail as a Kentucky-only brand.
Yeah.
And so my job was to keep that glass ceiling from hurting us.
Yeah.
And clearly that was my main contribution, not Maker's 46. but getting rid of the glass ceiling, figuring out a way to have a really special bourbon be a national brand at a very low volume.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the volume. But it was in it by about 1982, and that's a long time, because I came in 67, it took 15 years. And we were pretty much in every top ale account in the country and very highly thought of.
Yeah.
Not well known, but only by the connoisseurs. And of course, around that, the other thing we did that was so important was bringing connoisseurship to bourbon, which everybody has been able to enjoy.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
the other distilleries have.
And it's for locals like me. You know, I'm a Bardstown native, so I grew up learning about bourbon and smelling, you know, bourbon whenever I go outside in the morning.
Let me tell you something about that, because one of the stepping off points was we got lucky and we had a few marketing successes. And then I realized, you know, I'm not really a marketer. I probably have another glass ceiling over the top of my head, you don't know it.
Yeah.
So maybe what we better be focused on a little bit is helping create the category.
Mm-hmm.
So that we've got muscle. If we're going to push beer and wine out, chances are I'm not going to be able to do it by myself. And that's when I think we made one of the great strategic decisions. There were four of us, and we agreed to work together to start what I say became the Bourbon Trail. It became the first bourbon hospitality effort where it was collaborative.
Yeah.
And it was in Bardstown, and it was to bring folks to the restaurants and the motels and hotels in town. And what we did, we all agreed to have a tour, and we made up placemats for the restaurants, and they were printed and collated, and all the restaurants bought them.
Yeah.
And we get together and decide, okay, we're not going to have movies. We're not going to put these people to sleep. And everybody did something different. At the time, Heavendale had the tourmobile around town.
Uh-huh.
Jim Beam had those ceramic bottles. That was the hottest thing in the industry at the time. And they agreed to showcase them, to build a building and have a staff. And nobody wanted to do tours of the distillery because the insurance companies were not for it.
Yeah.
And we agreed to do that part because we were the smallest and had greater hands-on control of things. And Barton had what is now the Whiskey Museum was actually at their distillery.
Yeah.
So we had pretty good content,
Mm-hmm.
and it really worked. And then after a while, a lot of people wanted it. We were just doing it out of our back pocket.
Yeah.
And turned it over to the Kentucky Distillery Association about 1982 or 3, I guess. And then it became something really big.
Yeah.
But the foundation was right here in Bardstown. The other thing we did collaboratively, which in hindsight was a near stroke of genius. Remember when I said success is measured when we really start to make progress against beer and wine, which were dominating segment growth.
Right.
4 of us, Jimmy Russell, Wild Turkey, Booker, and Jim Beam, Elmer Lee, well, that's actually 5, and Brown Foreman had just introduced Woodford. This was 1995. We decided to crash one of the famous wine festivals in New York. And they let each of us in separately, and we really did a good job with our booths.
Yeah.
And we had the Star Master Distillers there. And 25 years later, there's no wine festivals, only bourbon festivals.
Yep.
So we got started. That's where we got it was disruption.
Yeah.
And we did this kind of all over the country. We went to San Francisco, Chicago, New Orleans. And that was the game plan. It didn't look like there was collusion, but there was.
Yeah. You all played it off really well.
But that was really, that's where we realized that before you can divide the pie, you got to have a pie big enough
Right.
to divide. So we say, hey, we got to spend time in the pie making business.
Mhm.
And everybody was for it. Of course, we all knew each other, and that
Yeah.
helped. Some of us kind of related, and that even helped more.
Yeah.
But it was those collaborative efforts early, which can continue to this day.
Mhm.
I mean, the Bourbon Fest, or the Bourbon Trail works the way it does, is because it's all coordinated and it's totally transparent, and everybody works with everybody else.
Yeah. And that's always been something that I've loved about the industry. I mean, you hear stories about hard times and different tragic events that have happened at other distilleries, and they, to this day, speak on, other people stepping in to help where they needed it. So it's nice to know kind of where it started back whenever you guys were trying to build your pie and make sure that everybody had their own piece.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit, because you mentioned 46 earlier. Obviously, that was something that you launched, and it was close to 50 years after the first bottle was sold at Maker's Mark, right? 2010. Whenever
Okay.
you
Okay, I don't remember. I know I was about ready to go.
Yeah. So what made you, because that was the first thing that you all had done other than just classic Maker's Mark. So what made you want to try to do something different?
Well, it started as a joke because I had been watching Rob do his thing
Mm-hmm.
and talking about the whiskey in his epistles. He never mentioned me. He just always talked about how wonderful his grandparents were. It's like everything, all the magic went from them to him. So I got concerned and I looked around and there was no evidence that I'd ever been there except for the fact that my name was on the side of the bottle.
Yeah.
So I went to our master distiller and I said, the day I retire, Rob's going to take that off and I will disappear from the history books. And he said, well, you got about a year. Why don't we try to do something? It was about a year and a half. I said, that's good. Let's do it the same way that Mom and Dad did. Let's do it organoleptically. Let's don't listen to the outside noise about what the market wants. Let me try with your help, because he was the distiller, I was the person about to retire. Why don't we try and see how we can modify Makers to really suit my taste and preference?
Yeah.
I have a slightly sweeter palate than my father.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to work, and again, I had 2 engineering degrees. Our distiller at the time had 2 biology degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, let's do it scientifically. Let's spend our time, our first, however long it takes, to define the North Star. What the hell are we trying to do?
Yeah.
Rather than just throwing junk up against the wall and see what sticks. So we did. And our objective was to define in words what we were looking for organoleptically.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it, I think, in 9 words, maybe 11 words. But it took 6 months. And it was that guiding light. The fact that we knew, now we didn't know we could do it, and we hadn't tried to do it. So Kevin went out and tried a lot of stuff. And remember, with bourbon, you don't have a lot of lead room.
Right.
So then I got the idea, let's go call Brad Boswell, good friend, makes our barrels, has another company in California that does exotic stuff, has a couple of PhD chemists and they, wood science people. So I went to see Brad and said, Brad, can you help us do this? He looked at me and said, no. I said, okay, let's go to lunch. And we get at lunch and he said, maybe my sister can help because she's got all these smart people out in California. And they are the world experts in cooking wood staves to create distinctive flavors.
Yeah.
Naturally. I mean the word naturally, that's the key to bourbon.
Yeah.
No chemistry. And so he handed us off to her. And she and her team were fabulous. She knew right away what we were trying to do. So that first 6 months was well spent. words mean different things to different people. We
Right.
spent a lot of time trying to come up with words that only meant one thing. And the key word was yummy, because that's not a whiskey word. And it means the same thing to everybody. And that was key. And then I wanted, besides yummy, I wanted to have a little lingering finish, which meant something had to start to move back off the tip of the tongue, which
Right.
Makers does not. Makers has no finish. It's crisp. It's gone.
Mhm.
So, but I didn't want it to go to bitter, like the heavier bourbons do. And so that was the second criteria, which we defined as Makers on steroids. Yummy, Makers on steroids, and then Lee. We wanted to be able to call it Kentucky Straight Bourbon, which really limited
Yeah.
the creativity. And that's where Independence Day, the Cooperage Company, came in and was so helpful. We didn't participate much. They sent samples to us. I remember it was the Thanksgiving before I retired. It was perfect. It was the first samples they had sent to us.
Yeah. So where did the name come from?
In panic. I wanted to get it out before I retired. And we were sitting down at the agency, and the package design company was there, Brad was there. And they said, they had kind of designed the model for us. They said, what are you going to call this stuff? Well, we hadn't even thought about
Yeah.
that. And so Brad was telling them how hard it was to create. And it took them 46 attempts. So they said, okay, good, we got the end of the meeting, we're done. Let's go bottle some. That's not the way you should do it.
All right, one last question then. I think we'll wrap up. Just what is your favorite memory? I know that's a tough one because you have a lot of memories at Maker's Mark, but if you had to choose one, what would be your favorite memory?
Oh man. Certainly one of them, when I was able to talk Rob into coming back into the company, because he was doing really well without us. Like I said, it cost me a lot more money to bring him back than it did if I'd let him come right out of school. Brown Foreman was, again, it's more collaboration. They shared with me their family nepotism HR book. And it said family members need to have 2 degrees and they need to not be in the company for the first 5 years. So you can find out if they've got any gumption.
Yeah.
It's blunt and it's perfect. So he went out and was a huge success, working for another company, which meant I had to pay him a hell of a lot more than I wanted to bring him back. But that was probably number one. I think number two, and right behind it, is every time I go to the distillery right now and get to interact with that team down there. In honesty, he is a much better team builder than I ever was. And I thought that's pretty good. But no,
But he's better.
a lot better. And if you go there, you can see it. Everybody sees it.
Oh yeah.
Everybody goes sees it. That's the first thing I hear when I send somebody down there. Is everybody smiling? Everybody's enjoying what they're doing, and they're getting the hell of a lot done.
Yeah. I think the hospitality is unmatched at Maker's Mark. I mean, it's something that from long before I started doing this, when I was in the hospitality industry myself, serving and bartending, it's always been one of my favorite distilleries because you walk in and it's more like a living piece of art. You feel the family environment at the distillery.
Well, I've done a lot of that, and of course the hospitality culture came from my mother. I mean, of course the distillery was too gross to treat people to those first few years. So all the entertainment was done at the house.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm done.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Does anybody else want a pour of Maker's Mark right now? I know I did. So actually, after that podcast recording, I sat down and hosted a live event with Bill and some of the vintage bottles that Maker's Mark had to offer. All of that took place at the Rick House Restaurant, who's let me host other cool events here, in addition to the tastings that I do for the Parlor Room. If you haven't heard of the Parlor Room, go to parlorroomtastings.com or find me on social media at Parlor Room Tastings to learn more and, of course, get your tickets. Until next time, cheers.